Welcome back, Jeremy. How was your Shabbat?
All right, the pleasure to be back. Thank you. It's very beautiful in the
Wonderful,
holy city.
wonderful, wonderful. So you're in Jerusalem.
Yep. Yeah. I'm in
Good. I'm in Zichron, just before 30 miles south of Haifa, 30 miles north of Tel Aviv. And it's a beautiful area, wine country. You're always invited to come and have some wine. We could talk
I know.
politics.
I love it.
Beautiful. We'll talk politics and Zionism. So let's get to the issue of the day. What is your take? What's happening in Syria with the horrible Druze massacre, and in terms of the massacre and what Israel's doing, and the U.S. is doing or not doing, and the world community?
Right. I mean, Israel is trying to protect our minorities. The Druze are not Muslims. They are Arabs, but they're not Muslims. They have their own religion. It's like a combination of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Um, and they actually hail from Jethro, who was the father-in-law of Moses. So they were always monotheistic and they're always friends of the Jewish people. And that's where they say their love for us comes from. So we have a deep bond with the Druze, and we're trying to protect them from literally a genocide in the making of different Arab Muslim factions within Syria who are trying to exterminate them.
Now, the extermination that's happening there, is it more like an ISIS type extermination, whereby they're trying to get rid of the Jews, ethnic cleansing?
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to get rid of them very barbarically, trying to do whatever horrors they can do. It's very interesting that the world screams that we're doing genocide, but they're very silent on an actual genocide happening on our borders. Now, Israel's getting involved because we're trying to create two things: A, a security buffer zone from the Golan Heights down to ensure there's no militants to try and cross into our borders, and B, to ensure that our citizens or the extended families of our citizens are safe and they can live prosperly. And since the Jews are active members within Israeli society, and it's the humane thing to do, I mean, we're trying to stop the onslaught from the Druze area in Sweden.
Now, you mentioned before that when there's an actual genocide going on, the world doesn't say a word. Now, if we look carefully, there's genocides all over going in the world. Africa, Boko Haram, what the Muslims are doing there, how the Christians are being killed the Coptic Christians have been killed in Egypt, and what's happening in Syria, ISIS, and so forth have been happening over the years. But when the Jewish people are defending themselves, it's called a genocide. Now, can you tell the audience why we cannot be listed under the category of ethnic cleansing, what we're doing in Gaza? Are we doing ethnic cleansing or doing something else?
No, I mean, what we're trying to do is trying to create a security buffer zone within the Gaza Strip to ensure that what happened on October 7th never happens again. And we're trying to minimize the civilian casualties, but it's very hard because the terrorists are embedded within the civilian areas in order to ensure that we create as much damage to civilians as possible. But our goal is to uproot the terrorists and not to harm the Palestinians.
So what's happening now in Syria with the Druze is that the Islamists, the jihadists, are going after civilians, not going after terrorists. So that's a very important point. The audience has to understand the big difference. When the Israeli army, the IDF, the Israel Defense Force, not the Israel Offense Force, but Israel Defense Force, is defending Israeli lives. And Israeli lives means Muslims, Christians, Baha'is, and also Jews, and anyone who's not religious. It's defending all Israelis from the attacks of Gazans who happen to be Hamas. There are many, many Gazans who are Hamas. Interesting point
Right.
also, none of the Gazans that we know in October 7th and afterwards saved any Jewish person, basically, who was a hostage. People have to remember that. So when they say the Gazans are innocent, they're not as innocent as the people like to believe. As opposed, example, in World War II, there were Germans who saved Jews. Now, in Gaza, there were no Gazans who saved Jews. So let's try to understand that moral equivalence that doesn't exist. Even among the Nazis, so to speak, there were good Germans. Here, among the Gazans, we haven't found yet a Gazan who's able to or wanted to save a Jew. In fact, even held hostages. Now, what you mentioned before about what's happening in Syria, what is a definition politically and legally what means ethnic cleansing? Can you tell the audience that?
Well, it's a purposely, commit a mass murder of a group of people. There is no intent or military capability that Israel's trying to do on the Gaza Strip to wipe out the Palestinians. I mean, if we wanted to, we could have used the Air Force and destroyed the entire area the day after October 7th. But we're not. We're actually sacrificing our own soldiers to go into many times these buildings that are booby trapped and then they die because we're trying to help civilians in Gaza while we're trying to uproot the terrorists. And what you said is very true about the civilians in Gaza did not help to rescue any of these hostages or attempt to rescue any of these hostages. Actually, on October 7th, when they were dragged into Gaza Strip, there's video footage of the entire mob of civilians that were beating up our hostages, including women. That you could see blood in between their legs. And this was far from helping our people, but more trying to destroy them.
Now, is it true that the October 7th, the main kibbutzim, the main Jewish settlements that were attacked were basically Jews who were very left-wing, very liberal, and who did help the Palestinians, the Gazans, basically every day to bring them into Israel, to take them to hospitals, to give them treatments for diseases they may have, to provide them food, provide them jobs, and so forth. Is that a true fact?
Right. Many of these sites that were taken where some of these family members or individuals were actually involved in the peace process and trying to bridge both worlds together, whether it's agriculturally, economically, medically. But there were quite a few that were involved in this peace process, or trying, not even peace process, but trying to just build a connection, with both worlds. And sadly, they were kidnapped, tortured, burned, their properties burned. And many people in Israel are very highly skeptical of the word a two-state solution, if a two-state solution will look like what we experienced on October 7th.
Now, a question, what's going on in Syria now? The fact that we're helping the Druze. Now, because people will say a question, are the Druze of Syria like the Druze of Israel? The Druze of Israel are very, very loyal people to the Jewish people. They have a tremendous kinship to Jewish people. I myself am very associated with the Druze in the north. I help them very much. I've been associated with them for more than 5 years. I love them very much. Like we're family. But people sort of have the question is that the Druze did help the Syrian army in '73, and they were loyal to the Syrian government and so forth. So is it wise for us now to save the Druze? I'm not talking about the humanitarian aspect of it. We have to save civilians, no question about it. But is it politically wise, is it military wise that we take in the Druze and they make them part of our country or give them their own country? What do you think of that?
Right. The loyalty of the Druze in Syria is questionable. Half of them are pro-Israel, the other half are pro-Syria. I mean, the Druze are survivors, so they put their allegiance in the country that hosts them with hopes that they won't be persecuted. However, many Druze are pro-Israel. Many of the Druze within Israel have families on the other side, and they've seen a flood of Druze trying to cross the border to help the family. So, if we don't help them, there's another scenario where we might have chaos on the border on the Golan Heights of Druze families just trying to breach the border and save their family members. So, but regardless, I think Israel has a moral duty to help our friends and brothers in arms, literally, who help us and with every level of society within Israel to make sure that this genocide doesn't happen.
So, from the point of view of morals, first of all, of course, we have to save human life. From a political point of view, we'll be able to make a buffer zone, so to speak, where we have the Jews part of Syria, be part of Israel, or provide them with their own type of state, a Druze state. And this way, they can also, from a political point of view, military point of view, prevent attacks from any type of Syrian jihadists. The same token, as you mentioned before, there is family connection between the Druze of Israel and Druze of Syria. And also for the mention to the audience, Druze is spelled Druze, Druze. It may sound Jewish, but it's Druze. Now, so the Druze also, because they have the family connection, I'm sure, as you said before, they're survivors, and they will see the incredible love that the Druze in Israel have towards the Jewish people, and that will also enhance their allegiance to the Jewish people even further. The fact that we are putting our lives on the line to save them. So the question is, why isn't the world doing anything? Why are the Jewish people saving the Druze and the rest of the non-Jewish world is not?
Right. It's a really very sad situation. What is happening, that the world is completely silent. The U.S. administration looks like they're trying to get quiet. They want calm. I mean, they don't want a massacre, of course, but they don't want Israel to start bombing Syria and ensuring that there's another war on the horizon. Trump really wants to try and, quiet things down and make hopefully peace deals with Israel and various other countries, including Syria. But no one is really coming full front to the aid of the Druze, minus some diplomatic ceasefires that they're trying to create right now.
I'd like to say
Only us.
sorry to interrupt you. We the Jewish people have experienced Holocaust upon Holocaust upon Holocaust. So we don't do genocide. We save people from genocide. People don't understand that. And one of the reasons what we're doing in Syria is saving people from genocide. In the long run, we're also saving the Gazans from genocide. Because if the people don't see the big picture, if Hamas stays there, more Gazans will die. If Hamas is out, then the Gazans have a chance to have a new life. The Gazans have a chance to have their children live in peace and so forth. It's all because Hamas.
Right.
And I'd like to say to the audience, it's also because of who? It's the UN's too. The UN and UNRWA. They're the ones who've been funding the Hamas. They're the ones who never put any type of moral clamp on Hamas. And you see now, they're not doing anything with helping the Druze either.
Right. Yep. World is silent completely. No condemnations, no UN blacklists or anything.
Right.
And all this happening under the new Syrian leadership of Julani, who used to be a member of Al Qaeda.
Really? See? So here's a terrorist, leader of Syria. We have 1 minute left. Please give a summary for today's news. Anything you want to say that you think is important, please tell the audience.
Right now, there's a ceasefire growing in Syria, in Sueda, where the Druze are, and we are, watching very closely what is happening. We do know that there's various factions within Syria, the Bedouins, Al Qaeda, small members of ISIS that are all threatening the Druze while maintaining the sort of ceasefire. So, we're watching very closely what's happening. And we hope for quiet, and we hope that the Jews will be safe. I must say, at my local synagogue this morning, we also did a special prayer for safety and protection for the Druze as well. So the Jewish people really have the Druze in our hearts. We will defend them at any cost.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I look forward to our next correspondence. Have a wonderful day.